Okay, Jim again. I'm in the high-vis gear. I'm doing this from my kitchen at work in my manufacturing business. Okay, today I'm going to show you how to make some mince. It's good for burgers, rissoles, meatballs, meatloaf, do anything with it. The critical thing with this, to get it to stick together, is you've got to get methyl cellulose. There's no way around it. You can try flaxseed, I've tried that, I've tried chia seeds. They all go gooey and sticky in water, but when you actually try and get a burger to stick together, they just don't work. Methyl cellulose sounds nasty, but it's a food approved product. It's been in use for 30 years or more, and you'll actually find it in the commercially made mince patties like Impossible burgers and that sort of thing. So it's something you're probably already eating, and it's in a lot of food, so don't be afraid of the stuff. It sounds nasty, but it's fine. Now, getting that, it's pretty expensive stuff. I've seen it on eBay for about $80 for a 300 gram bag. I got some from Amazon for $45 for a 450 gram bag. But you only use around about 5 or 6 grams per batch of burgers. So once you factor in your seasonings, the methyl cellulose, your TVP, these things cost about $6 a kilo. Now, I've never tried an Impossible burger because I won't pay $42 a kilo for something that's got a laundry list of ingredients in it. I know mine are natural, I know mine are tasty, and they are cheap. Okay, so it's this easy. Into a bowl, 1 cup, in a standard Australian 250ml metric cup of TVP. You get it at Coles, you can get it at Woolies, it's cheap as chips and stuff. Now, you need 200 mils of hot water. You can season this with anything you like, but we're just going with the basic beef seasoning. You can add onion powder, garlic powder. You could use chicken stock powder instead to give it turned into a chicken burger. Now, in with 1 tablespoon. There's the Massel, pretty good, 100% vegan, 100% plant-based, good tasty stuff. And to that, for beef anyway, you don't do this for lamb, for beef, you want to go in with some molasses. Adds a little bit of sweetness, which is great, but it also adds an irony flavour. And that really sort of, beef is irony, so if we're trying to get a beef-like burger, that's what you need. And it's a bit cold today, so this stuff's runny and sticky. So you want to go in with about a teaspoon, that'll do. Stir that into the hot water. It takes a while to dissolve. Just about there. See the colour's going all brown? That's the molasses doing that, adding to the Massel beef stock powder. That's 200 mils, as I said. Into your TVP, your 1 cup of TVP. Looks runny at the moment. What we'll do is we'll stick a lid on that and set that aside and give that about 10 or 15 minutes to rehydrate. Then I'll come back to it. Now, while that TVP is rehydrating, we'll get on with the methyl cellulose. This is the stuff I got off Amazon. It was a 450 gram bag for $45. That was a bargain. But as I said, it can cost you up to $80 for a 300 gram bag off eBay. I can't get this stuff from Amazon at the moment, but this big bag's going to last me for years. Now, it sounds expensive, but you don't use much. For a recipe like this, you're going to use about a tablespoon, which is about 4 grams. So when you work that back, even at that expensive one, it adds about $1.60 to the overall mix. It's actually the most expensive part, but you need it to stick together. Now, I generally eyeball this. I'm going to try and give you some scientific, being an old chef, we just eyeball stuff. But I'm going to try and give you some scientific numbers here, or some accurate numbers. I've got 100 mils of lukewarm water, a tablespoon of methyl cellulose, and then we're going to whisk it. See how it's sort of lumpy at the moment? It will dissolve in, and a whisk is the best way. And it will start to get a bit glue-like. And actually, my eyeballing's not as good as it could have been. I reckon 75 mils of water's the go. We'll wait and see how it develops. Should turn into a bit of a gluey consistency. Yeah, it's starting to see it's just dropping off the spoon. It's like a runny glue. That's about right. Give it a bit more of a whisk. I'll let that sit for a couple of minutes to let the methyl cellulose completely dissolve and wait for that TVP to rehydrate. Okay, that's had 10 or 15 minutes. Okay, the TVP's had about 15 minutes. What you look around the bottom, as long as there's virtually no water down the bottom, the rehydration's happened. Now, you just taste that, and it's got such a beefy flavour from that Massel vegan beef stock. and that touch of little teaspoon of molasses that we put in. Now, you see what's happened to the methyl cellulose? Stick with the number I said, 100 mils of water's right. This stuff now looks like glue. And that's what it's going to do. It's going to glue these burgers together. As I said, this stuff's been around for years, totally safe. Sounds nasty, but in we go. Work a bit through. I want to get this even. Probably should have gone with a bigger bowl so I could work a bit better, but hey, I've got to clean up the bench. Let's get the rest of it in there. Don't want to waste any of this stuff. As I said, it's pretty bloody expensive. That's why I work with a spatula. Get every little last morsel out. Well, as I said, when I say it's expensive, it is on its own, but when you factor it into the whole equation, you're going to make yourself good, meaty, sticky, solid burgers for about $6 a kilo instead of paying, you know, 40. It works out not to really be expensive at all. Now that's going to all soak in. I now pop that in the fridge and let that set for, you know, hour or so. Looking a bit wet. I'm just going to test that in a minute. I may, as I said, I just eyeballed this in the past. But we'll put that in the fridge, let it set for a while, and come back to you. Okay, I've had a bit of a fiddle around with the recipe. As I said, being an old chef, I usually just wing it till it looks right. But I've actually adjusted the quantities. Now it looks right. You see how it's all sticky and thick, but it really forms a blob. We'll cook one in a minute to see how it is. There's the revised recipe. I'll just held that up. You can pause on that to get it, but it's as simple as that. Just follow the steps that I did with that recipe. Now, your TVP is going to vary a bit. Sometimes you'll have bits down the end that are a lot powdery. Sometimes it's big chunks, so the actual density of the TVP will vary. So if you mix it all up and it looks a bit wetter than that, and it doesn't feel like it's clumping together, just add a little bit more TVP, let it stand for a bit. Or if it's gone too dry, you add a little bit more water. This is experimentation. And what's always a good idea to see if you've got your mix right is just cook one bit off first, which is what I'm going to do right now. Let's swing got the induction cooker on. You know what, this is too hot. This stuff burns. It's not like dealing with minced steak. And part of the process of this is tip a bit of oil in. Don't be scared to use a bit of oil with this, even in a non-stick pan. There's no oil or fat whatsoever in the burger mix. A bit of oil helps it brown up a bit and adds flavour, as fatty things always do. Let's just grab a small blob. I would normally stick this in a cookie cutter ring or a biscuit cutter ring, squish them down, leave them in the fridge to sit, so they're nice formed burgers. But look, good old hands works just as well. Get a bit of oil happening there. Squish it down into a nice looking shape. Now what I tend to do is pop the lid over that, and I've only got that on the 400 watt setting or the 100 degree setting on that induction cooker. Now, methyl cellulose, what it does to form, when it gets hot, it goes hard. It's the opposite of water and oils and the like. It's more in a liquid state when it's cold and goes very solid when it's hot. So you don't stand there and look at the lid of a fry pan for a couple of minutes. I'll just pause this and I'll come back to it in a second. Okay, that's at about 4 minutes, and a good test is if the lid's hot, that means there's a lot of hot air in there making it make it cook through a bit. The next trick is, let's swish a bit of oil around, give it a bit of a poke. If you're getting a bit of spring back, it's about time to turn it. Still, be gentle with them. These aren't as robust as the commercially made burgers. I mean, they're chocker full of some sort of chemical or other. But, there you can see, nice spring back, she's holding together nicely, nice bit of colour. Let's just pop the lid back on, give that another 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, that's had about another 2 minutes with the lid on. You can see nice and springy. Now I've turned the setting on the this little induction cooker up to 1000 watts or the 160 degrees Celsius setting. This stuff does burn pretty quickly if you're not careful, and as I said, I'm trying to get over the edge of the pan where there's a little bit of oil for it to sit in. Might even go up a little bit higher, I'll go to the 1600 watt setting to quickly get a bit of colour into it and then show you what it's like. I think I might even go up to the 1800 watt setting because you want to sit here and watch a burger fry for the next 10 minutes. Give it a flip. Yeah, see, look at that. Isn't that nice brown? Because it's been formed by hand, it's a bit rustic and good homemade looking food rather than pre-packaged stuff full of red food dye. You could add red food dye to this to make it look like those commercial burgers, or beetroot powder works well. As I say, flavouring's up to you. I fill these full of flavour. I go in with onion salt, garlic salt, lots of black pepper, whatever takes my fancy. If I want some of that, McCormick's taco seasoning is a good thing to add to them. It's also a good thing to sprinkle over them when you're cooking them. But I'll just show you the basics here. Cooking's all about your imagination, experimentation, creativity. They don't always work the first time, but hey, have a go. It's fun. That's what cooking's all about. And that's why I don't. Anything I show you in this, on my YouTube channel, the recipes are pretty vague because I'm a believer. Look at that. That's done. I'm a believer in taste stuff. Turn that burner off. Taste stuff, see what it needs, adjust it, and away you go. So let's take that out, plonk it on the plate, shove the burner out of the way. Whoop, shove the camera out of the way too. Okay, so there it is. You see how grainy it looks and how meaty it looks? This TV stuff is meat for vegans, vegetarians. I've got a lot of my friends and family who are all meat eaters eating this stuff. Look at that. Just have a look at the texture of that. That is seriously like a bit of meat. It's juicy, good mouthfeel, great flavour. Get onto that, give it a go. Stop paying $40 or $45 a kilo from that stuff from the supermarket. It's full of bloody every chemical under the sun. That's totally natural. You know what's in it. You know what it tastes like. Well, methyl cellulose is not natural, but it is made naturally. It's completely harmless stuff, as I've said. Get stuck into that. Any questions, just ask on the Facebook pages that will appear on. Bye for now.